If you've ever tasted a yellow date and wondered how to grow your own, I spent the last 200 days growing them from seed, and I'm about to teach you how. But don't worry, it's not as difficult as you might think. The hardest part is getting lucky enough to find the fresh ones. I had only ever seen dates that look like this, the dried ones. So you can imagine how excited I got when I found the fresh ones and how fast I ran home to immediately get to work. I cut open the yellow fruit, opened it up to reveal the seed, and started collecting as many as I could so I could move on to the next step, germination. Now the fresh dates I got were all different. Some were crunchy and firm, others were softer and stickier. They all tasted different depending on how ripe they were. But trust me, eating a fresh date is even better than the dried ones. As I collected my seeds, I learned that dates come from palm trees, date palms to be exact. And there are over 200 varieties that exist. You already know I will never let another date palm pass me by without checking for fruit growing. Anywho, as soon as I removed enough seeds from the fruit, they were finally ready to grow. The golden brown exterior of the seeds were oddly beautiful too. You can soak the seeds in water for 24 hours, or you can put them straight on a paper towel. I decided to place some directly on a damp piece of paper towel to grow without soaking them, and I also placed a few others in a little pot of soil. I wasn't sure which would work better and faster, but all I knew was that I needed to give us options just in case one of them didn't grow successfully. Now here is the interesting thing about dates. For 180 days, the seeds on the paper towel have to go into the fridge, yes, for 3 months, in order to grow. And it's because they need to go through a period of cold to kickstart the seeds to sprout, which is just a process called stratification. So I got them in the fridge. It definitely takes time and patience to grow them, but waiting to see the tails actually start to grow is the most fulfilling reward. But I won't get ahead of the story here because I still had to wait 3 months to see if they would even grow at all. And listen, if the date palm symbolized victory in ancient Rome, then we were about to do the same, but with germination. After 60 whole days passed, I checked on our date seed living in soil. I was watering it regularly and I made sure it lived in a warm and sunny spot, and I couldn't believe my eyes to see that it actually sprouted. I was so excited, I repotted it into a little bit of a bigger home and waited for more growth to happen. Soon, I started to see this sprout pop out of the pot, and I was a bit confused because the sprout almost looked like a lemon seedling. But I just went with it because I always welcome whatever wants to grow in my garden. And soon enough, I finally started to notice another sprout popping out of the pot, and this time it looked like a date sprout, so I got excited. As 2 months passed and our date in soil continued to grow, I was now looking very forward to seeing if our seeds had sprouted on the paper towel in the fridge, but those still needed 1 more month of growing. So as I waited for those and continued to watch our plant grow in soil, I was surprised to find out that the date palm tree can grow up to 75 feet tall, so 15 of me. And 4 million tons of dates per year come from those trees, which is around 300 pounds of individual dates. Crazy, right? Well, finally, the months passed and it was time to remove the seeds on the paper towel germinating in the fridge. The moment of truth came, I went to open the paper towel and revealed little spiral sprouts popping out of the date seeds. They looked so interesting. I had never seen anything like it before, and it was so exciting. I planted those little curl balls in soil, and as those grew, I repotted our other date plant growing in soil and watched it grow. I realized that we were growing palm trees. While those all continued to grow, I got curious about whether or not dried dates would grow. And I know they're dried, but I've grown dried figs before, so why couldn't I defy the odds here too? To dry out dates and have them become the dates we've all probably tried, it's done naturally. They're left at room temperature and the dates condense and develop a sticky, sweet texture. They also turn brown, and if you've ever tried them, you can probably agree they taste amazing. But would the seeds grow? We were about to find out. I removed the seeds from the fruit, got 1 in soil and 1 on a damp piece of paper towel, and waited. And as I waited to see if those would grow, I was out on a morning walk one day searching for date palms because I wanted to see the fruit. And I stumbled upon something very interesting in this green bin. What looked to be like fresh date plants that weren't fully grown yet, thrown in the trash. And you know, I was very interested in seeing what these were and if we could grow it. The plant gods were not playing that day. When they say one's trash is another's treasure, they ain't lying. Upon a brief Google reverse image search, this is what they told me it is, and I don't think that's really what it is. I wasn't sure if they were even dates, but they looked like coconuts or dates or something, but I took some of the seeds and cracked them open. I couldn't even find any seed inside, probably because they weren't ripe enough, but I did end up realizing that they were the queen palm fruit. They just weren't ready to eat yet. Apparently they're called cocoyule. But anywho, it was still really cool to learn about a new fruit very close to dates. And on that same walk, searching for date palms, you won't believe it, but I landed on this palm, one of the most dangerous plants, the sago palm. It grows fruit inside of its cone, but don't be fooled because the fruit is actually just a seed and it's very poisonous. All parts of this palm are poisonous, but the seed is the most dangerous part. So if you have one of these, make sure to collect the seeds as they grow and throw them away. And definitely don't let these get on the ground because one seed is enough to kill a small child or animal. It's also very sharp. But it's only called a palm because it has similar reproductive structures. However, it's actually not similar to a palm tree at all. It's more similar to a pine cone, so be really careful with this dangerous plant. But anywho, it was finally time to check on our date plant growing. This is what our plant continued to grow into. I live in Canada, so the winter came and I had to bring the plant inside. It did start to shrink up a bit, but these plants are resilient. They cover more than 3% of the entire Earth's farmland, and they're the most ancient cultivated fruit tree in the world. So I'm confident they will grow back once the summer rolls back around and they get back outside. As for the dried dates, I did not indeed defy the odds just yet because they haven't sprouted, but you already know I will not be throwing these out and I'll continue checking on them for growth as the months pass. So even though it takes time and patience to find fresh dates and then grow them, to see the tails actually growing is such a fulfilling reward. And soon we're gonna have our date palm tree growing in my very own backyard. Just like in ancient Rome, we symbolized victory with germination. So here's to the next 200 days of growing.